Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. The honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Rule Wall. And Shalom. Shalom to all the brothers, doing this work. Brothers are hopeful, like pushing this word to the four corners, man. Shalom. You got this article and it's funny because it's really showing, that this whole space force that was set up, by Trump. It was most certainly set up for the pure purpose of preparation, to go to war with Yahweh Shai when he makes his return in the Chariots, which are so-called UFOs or UAPs, as they call them now. This is what they want people to take them seriously. Space Force wary of taking over UFO mission. The newest branch is among a number of military and intelligence organizations in the running to take over the investigation of unexplained aircraft. This is the Pentagon is considering giving the Space Force a greater role in a stepped-up effort to track and investigate reports of UFOs, but the newest military branch isn't over the moon about the idea. Space Force leaders are still struggling to rebrand an organization that has been lampooned since before its birth. Now they are conflicted about becoming the military's go-to on what the Pentagon now calls unmanned aerial phenomena, according to 5 current and former officials taking part in the discussions. Advocates for the Space Force taking over the Navy, which is currently leading the Pentagon's task force responsible for studying them, believe the new service is better suited to oversee a more robust effort aimed at collecting information on UFOs, and its association with a topic of such public fascination, particularly among young people, could even boost recruiting. Yeah, well, that's now it's in the mainstream. Because funny, bro, for the longest time, it's funny as hell. Because it's literally what do you call it? It's been something that from like I don't even know, maybe the 60s, as for a while, like for the longest time, it's been spoken about, and that shit has been brushed aside, brushed under the rug. But now it's that time, man. It's that time, and it's really and setting up a space force, and then now being like, okay, look. And then you got Reagan's quote from back in the day when he said, if a force was to come from out, out of space, everyone had to come together. So it's preparing all that spirit, that Independence Day spirit, man, where everyone comes together. The U.S. president makes a speech, and they're like, yeah, and then they go get obliterated by Yahweh Shai. Boost recruiting. So it says it makes perfect sense. So one former intelligence official who is advising the military in the planning, citing its more expansive geographic responsibilities than other military branches, and access to global and even galactic surveillance. Yeah. Okay, well, let's continue. So it said, technologies through the US Space Command. There is no limit to the Space Force mission. It doesn't have a geographic boundary like the other services. But the former official also said some fear will only deepen the branch's public relations challenge by providing more material for the jokes, science fiction themed memes, and other forms of popular ridicule that the Space Force has endured since it was championed by then President Donald Trump in 2018, who made an applause line in his political rallies. Yeah, people are joking, but it's just like with, when World War III was getting ready to pop up, people were joking and making memes about that. But as soon as, you know, the reality kicks in, they're gonna be like, please. Why? Because they're then gonna realize, you know, the nature of the chariots and what they come to do. Because says, okay, they really are sensitive. Okay, this is they want people to take them seriously. They don't want to do anything that is embarrassing. But this is national security. This is their job. The deliberations over what to do next about the unexplained sightings of high-performance aircraft are part of a new push to establish a more permanent government research effort. A June report to Congress from the Director of National Intelligence concluded that all but one of the 144 UFO sightings that were reviewed could not be explained. It's funny, it's 144 sightings as well. I was like, okay, that's hilarious. And they said, yeah, but all but one could be explained. I'm saying, man are knowing, like, yo, Chariots are active, and this is just what was released. And this is what included 18 that appeared to exhibit advanced properties. So yeah, it's evidently just got to the point where it's undeniable. It's undeniable, and that's the thing is you've had over like the last since smartphone was smartphones was what, like late 2000s, like 2008 or some shit. Let's say from the 2010s onward, because you had everyone having a smartphone at all times. You're just gonna have people taking footage. That's why you got all kinds of footage for days of chariots. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and it's not saying that everyone that records something is a chariot. There's hella sightings, and that's not including like with the Navy, the military, the things that they catch as well. And what's it called? The International Space Station and stuff. All their satellites that have cameras. There'll be all kinds of footage as well from there. So that's why it's like it's got to the point where this thing you can't put a cap on it, you can't put a lid on it. And since people gonna start bugging out, man. So that's why they're just like, okay, yeah, look, the thing's real. So that says the unclassified summary stated that we currently lack sufficient information in our data set to attribute incidents to specific explanation. We have no fucking idea what's going on. It also concluded that the unknown craft clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. You are correct. You're damn right. In response, Undersecretary of the Defense for Intelligence and Security is developing a plan to formalize a mission after being instructed by Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks. In a memo to senior military leaders following the report's release, Hicks sought a plan for the establishment and operation of the new activity to include the organizational alignment, resources and staffing required, as well as any necessary authorities. The issue has primarily been overseen by a temporary Pentagon UAP task force that was stood up in 2020 and led by the Navy, whose pilots, radars, and other surveillance systems have compiled most of the recent reports of unexplained sightings. Yeah, so it's basically here that crisis plan. It's blown the lid off what can be covered. And thing is as well is you've had for time people that are in different branches of the military coming out and saying like, oh yeah, we've seen these things that are real. Like we've had interactions with them. Because why? Because bruv, the chariots are out there. the chariots are moving like, and it's it's becoming evidently clear the impact that they're having. They're going out there, and it's just like, yo, like, damn, what's going on? What's going on? Okay, let me. I'll read. Cause what was it? It was this one I was looking for. Okay, so Ezekiel 1 and 1 and 16. So it says the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl. I can actually close that. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Yeah, the chariots. It's a wheel within a wheel. And that's, the disc-like structure. Well, that's, if you've seen them. And this is, these things is funny because Esau really knows. Esau really knows, man. So, I mean, there's been hella times, man. There's times when man at camp, you see hella chariots, and then it's like people on the street craning their necks hella craning, and they see it as well, and like, oh, what's that? And fucking hell, yeah, it's funny as well. Now this shit's really known. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, bruv, since the smartphones come out, it's like, bruv, man, I have all that footage. Funny as hell. So it says when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. As for the rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and the rings were full of eyes, and round about them before. And they turned when not they went. So that's the thing. It's for the chariots. The way they move, the way they maneuver. It's not like with Esau's aircraft, man. Because with Esau's aircraft, it's well, the good example is like the one the dogfighters from what the hell is it called? Just World War One onwards, I guess, where they have to fly, and then for them to engage, they have to like go in a loop, and then get behind someone and shoot at them. They can't just be like flying and then just reverse, go sideways, go back, go diagonal. They have to continue to go forward, man. It's the same with like the F-16s and whatnot, the high speed, sound barrier breaking ones. They have to go. They have to go straight. They can't just reverse. They can't go back. They can't go sideways. With the same way chariots can. It's like, you've seen chariots. The way they just move, they'll just be moving forward, back, side, up, down, any which way. And that's the thing. That's the main reason that that Esau knows. Like, that's why they said I think it's advanced capabilities. Because why? The capability of maneuverability they got throws Esau completely. Because how you gonna compete with that? And as well, they can just phase into the fourth dimension, man. They just be out of here. They'll be here. They'll be out of here, and then they'll be back. And then what? How you defending against that? What's your plans? But that's the thing. Is Esau's his pride. He's thinking, because obviously there's weaponry that's behind closed doors that the people don't know about, and these things, that's where his pride is. That's where he's thinking, like, okay, yeah, he's gonna make XYZ happen. But it's like, okay, for real. As for the rings, they were high. As for the rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and the rings were full of eyes round about them four. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Yeah. Eyes were the lights as well, I believe. And it says, whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against him. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Yeah, so wherever they desired to go, they went. So they'll go up, they'll go diagonally, they'll go 217 degrees to the left, they'll go, 147 degrees to the right. Even ones like that's all perfectly doable with ease. There's no, you know, they're able to do these things with no trouble whatsoever. And it's not that's and accelerate, decelerate, slow down, stop, and then just go hella quick. All these things, man. That's yeah, and this is why it's like, bruh, like what's Esau gonna do, man? What's Esau gonna do? Because when you're dealing with that level of maneuverability and speed, and that's it's funny because even with what the hell is it called? Um, Independence Day. I was thinking, I'm like the main ships were kind of just able to move. However, but even then they weren't that fast. And then they had the smaller ones. They basically moved like Esau's ship, where they had to like fly straight and bank and turn and so it could compete. If it was, I was like, nah, you should have just done it where them, if you did it the proper way, where they would just zip 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 around, and then whatever, and then just bang. There would have been no competition, man. It would have been game over. So it says, when these went, and when those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood, and when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheel. Yeah, they're just in there, going zips up wherever it needs to be gone. That's where they're going. And this is also why, Esau lives in terror. It says what? Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, and I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Yeah. A flying roll, that's another term that's used to describe the chariots. Because why? UAP, UFO, these terms didn't exist. It was like, flying roll, cloud, chariot, wheel within a wheel. All these ways they were described. And as well, because of why? The scripture is written in parables and dark sayings, man. These things are secrets to be revealed to his servants and prophets. But everyone else in the world ain't for them to get. Because why? It says, and thou said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. Yeah, this is the curse that goeth forth, and that's why that's the terror that Esau lives in. Because why? It's these things are coming, basically a sign of the end, man. The sign of the Heavenly Father, basically being like, okay, look, my servants are doing recon sweeps, to take you down. They're here to let you know it's that time, man. That time of cutting off. And then as well, like an axe, where it says the same Yahweh Shai, that's the way you've seen him go, he'll return. When he was caught up in the clouds, man. Those clouds of the chariots. And how he was caught up. That's how he's gonna come back. But he ain't gonna meet you as a man. So that's why Esau's like, yo, gotta get on this. So it says, and I'll cut off on that side according to it. I'll bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with timber thereof, and the stones thereof. Yeah, that's Esau, all that he's built. Because even then, it's in Malachi. They'll return and build the desolate places, and then it's like, even if you build them, it's they shall build up, but I'll throw down. That's the thing. All Esau's built And really, what Esau's fervent desire, his ultimate goal that he's looking to build, is that new world order. That's the main thing that he's looking to seal in. But then what? It's you know it's how's it gonna run? Yeah. But yeah, yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yeah, but Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.